The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Cowboys StoryLine with Nick Eatman.
What's up? Welcome to Cowboys Storyline. Wednesday, November 13th. I'm Nick Eatman. It is time to talk more Cowboys football with you. 888-855-2297 is the number to call. You guys know the number. You call it all the time. We appreciate that. Yesterday, we got a lot of first-time callers, which is good. You know, it's not the time usually you attract new fans, but I'm glad we're attracting new fans for the show. Either that or the regulars that are usually calling all the time are not calling and open up the lines. I don't know. I like to think of it as the other, as that we're getting new callers and building this thing as we go here in season 2 of Cowboys Storyline. All right. Longer week with Houston, the Monday night game, but it won't really change as far as the schedule for the podcast. We don't have a podcast on Monday, so We'll do Friday will be our last show of the week. We got a couple more shows to talk about it. We'll talk about any kind of news that pops up. So let's get right to it here. Let's go to New Mexico. Gary in New Mexico is first up. Gary, what's up?
Hey, Nick, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Hey, your show just proves that the Cowboys are America's team because I was listening to it this week, and you get calls from all over the country, man.
Yeah,
so,
and out of the country. We had one from Poland, and yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It is cool. I used to kind of keep track of the states and all that and like to see how many states, that we're getting calls from. But, yeah, it's really cool. New Mexico's pretty strong, I would say. They're pretty strong for the storyline.
No, this is cowboy country out here in southern New Mexico. And I just want to say, my wife really appreciates your show because she could not care less about who the Cowboys' third receiver was in 1979. So you give me an outlet for that kind of stuff. She just wanted me to tell you thank you for that.
Who was it in 79?
Now, hold on now. We're going to get there because I got a trivia question for you.
All right.
So couldn't really think of any Cowboy-Texan-related trivia question because the Texans are still relatively new, you know. So let's go back to the old Houston franchise, the Oilers. Mm-hmm. So now this is a tough trivia question.
Okay.
But it's a good one. Okay. So in 1984, the Cowboys traded away a very popular wide receiver, traded him to the Houston Oilers in exchange for Mike Renfro and a fifth-round draft pick. Who was the wide receiver we traded, and who did we select with that fifth-round pick?
So Cowboys traded a receiver to the Oilers, and they got Mike Renfro?
Yeah, we swapped. We traded this guy to the Oilers in exchange for Mike Renfro and a fifth-round pick. Now, the interesting side note to this, he wore very thin with the Oilers. They traded him to Denver before the 84 season even started, and then he finished his career with Denver. But this was a popular wide receiver back during that time.
Butch Johnson?
Yes.
Butch Johnson, okay.
It was Butch Johnson.
And then in the fifth round, they did Herschel Walker.
That's exactly right.
Is it Herschel? Yeah.
It was, yeah. They traded Butch Johnson for a fifth-round pick in the 85 draft that they used to select Herschel Walker. I actually wrote a paper in a college class back, I think, in 1994 about why Butch Johnson's one of the most important players in Cowboys history because he caught the big touchdown in Super Bowl 12, and then they traded him away for Herschel, who they got all those picks.
Hold on, Gary. So, I'm going to put air quotes here. Caught the touchdown. That ball is still laying on the turf there.
Hold on. By the rules of the day, that was a touchdown, brother. That was a touchdown pass.
I guess.
That was a touchdown pass. Man, now, here's a little side thing. Can you remember what Butch Johnson's touchdown celebration was? He had a little touchdown celebration that he did. What was it?
California Quake. Yeah.
That's right, man. And I've got a bet. My youngest daughter, she just turned 21. I told her that if the Cowboys ever get back to the Super Bowl, I would do the California Quake in public. So I don't have to worry about that this year, but hopefully maybe next year I can get up in front of the congregation and do the California Quake. But just a real point about this year's team. Back to the present.
Okay.
You made a great point on the radio the other day about how you thought Cooper Rush got hurt when he recovered that fumble. And Jerry Jones confirmed that the next day on the Fan. Yeah. But if that's true, and I think it was, okay, if you're a quarterback and you got a strained neck, Okay, that's going to affect how you throw the football the rest of the game, and that's going to affect how you call that game.
Of course. That's why everything was short.
Yeah, so we like to jump on the coaches and throw them all under the bus, but we don't know everything. And they're not going to get out there and make excuses. But if he had a strained neck, that definitely affects how he can play, and that I guarantee you if that's true, that definitely affects how McCarthy called that game. So, again, this season is what it is. They're not a very good football team right now, but let's see how it plays out. Let's enjoy watching some of these players and seeing what they can do, and it's kind of fun to see some of these new guys. One other thing, all this talk about tanking, I'm totally against tanking. I want to see the best players play their best and give everything they got because, number one, these guys are entertainers and people pay money to see them, and they're paid a lot of money to perform. So we need to see the best out there. We need to see them putting out their best and just see how it plays out. We worry about next year when next year gets here.
Right.
But thank you for taking my call.
All right, Gary. I appreciate that. And I agree with that. Not everyone does, but that's okay. I do next year. I always look at it like that. Next year. You get the draft pick that you get. Don't necessarily play for the draft pick, but yeah. And I think the reason why is because I've been that kid that went to games when I was 10 years old, 9 years old, 8 years old, 13 years old, and I went in the 1989 season. I went 3 games in 1989, and I went there, and I was hoping that they would win. They would win these games, and so you never know whose Christmas present it is to go to a game and all that. And I think for that reason, you should always try to win. And they try to win the game. It's just that, are they doing all the things that they have to do? The organization, players, everything, doing what they have to do to kind of put themselves in position to go win it. All right, next caller is Michael in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Hi, Nick.
What's up?
Season's not over. Still 8 games left. I agree. They could win 6, 7, 8 games. Who knows? Something I heard that Rico is the number 2 running back in the NFL in getting beyond the sticks percentage, 60%. Gibbs is number 1. Do you think maybe they should give up this running back by committee and just go Rico and Lemke fullback, old school Emmett and Moose style, and just try to see how that works?
What's the stat again? What is that? He's second in what?
Second, getting beyond the sticks percentage. He's 60%. That is second in the NFL. Gibbs is number 1.
Okay. I
heard that this morning.
And maybe, and there's those all kinds of stats like that now. Next Gen Stats has a lot of things, and I don't think I've ever seen that one or heard it, or that's cool. I mean, he's like 32nd in rushing in like the league or something, or whatever that is. So like, you could make stats any way you want them. I guess your point though is more opportunities could lead to more things.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I do think the running back by committee has failed. I mean that hasn't worked because none of the guys in the committee, it's not just the committee, it's the players though in it because I do think it works with Montgomery, Gibbs. I mean that running back by committee seems to be working really well over there. So it's the players, but I do think that your best running back by far right now is Rico Dowdle as a pass catcher and a runner, and I think that they should and they will keep giving him more carries.
They should. I mean, Zeke's not going to be on the roster next year. I mean, they just go straight up those two. My other question, real quick, linebacker room. Do they need to address this in the draft? I mean, Clark's had been in 160 snaps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, like I said, 8 games left. He could turn it around, but if he doesn't, do we need to look next year? Okay, we're gonna have to do something else on linebacker.
No doubt. I mean, it's not just Damone Clark who's not playing. Eric Kendricks is not. I think it's just a 1-year deal for him. I wouldn't. I'd be surprised if he's back next year. Again, it's early. I mean, it's tough to tell on what's going to happen with the coaching staff and all that. But let's look at the guys that are under contract and not under contract next year. The linebacker room does seem like you're going to have to make some changes there. Now, I'd like to see. I think as the season continues to go here, and if the Cowboys are not in the playoff picture, Maris Leofeld needs to play a lot more. I'd like to see him kind of grow up on the run here, as with some of these young guys. But yeah, linebacker. I mean, you got Overshown and Leofeld, but you're going to have to get some other guys in here for depth purposes.
Thanks for taking my call,
All right.
Nick.
Thanks, Michael. Good stuff. Those are the kind of questions I really like because it shows that he's doing some research. He's looking at stats, listening to stuff, thinking, bringing it to the show. That's a stat I really haven't heard before. Again, a lot of the beat writers like to make jokes on the fact that you can make any stat, into anything. So when you said Rico Dowdle ranks second in the NFL, and I'm just like, where are we going with this? Because, I mean, he's not second in a lot of things. But that's interesting, and that's where the analytics come into play. That maybe with different plan, different situation, different things around him, that guys can be different. I think that's a good stat to show that he does need to play a little bit more. He's got to do his job too. He's got to hang on to the football. I know he fumbled once there in Pittsburgh. He's got to hang on to the ball. He's got to make sure his blocking assignments are good. But if he can do that, I think he's a back that's starting to really get into his rhythm. You'd like to see that happen a little earlier in the season, but I think the Cowboys, the coaching staff and the personnel, that's part of that, is that they've tried 5 different options here on how to make this work. All right, Robbie in Cocoa Beach, Florida.
What's up, Nick? How are you today?
Good. What's up?
I got a question from what we talked about yesterday, if you remember. I said it was nice to see that CD still had that fight and everybody was still fighting.
Yeah.
And you said it's important that they don't give up that fight during the week.
Yeah.
You think McCarthy's lost the team and we've given up the fight during the week? I mean, you don't see the practices, and it doesn't sound like it.
I don't think he's lost the team. I don't think he's lost the team, but I do think that they're continuing to fight, but I don't think that they're one way or another. I don't think that they're preparing like they need to, and that could be the coaches, players. That's a combination of everything. I don't think it's necessarily lost the team. That I look at that as I don't care what you say. It doesn't matter. You're not going to be here. Whatever. I don't think it's that kind of disrespect, but I think it's more that they're doing, their prep work hasn't been great. I mean, but they think it is. They're going to continue to take the football to when they keep winning these tosses and they keep taking the football. And for what? I mean, it has not worked.
No.
It has not worked. They have not scored a touchdown. I harp onto this point, but they have not scored a touchdown to open the first quarter or the third quarter all year long. They don't take the ball and go score. And they barely even get a field goal. So it's not.
And last year we were so good at scoring in the last 2 minutes, the opening drive, and then the opening drive of the third quarter. That's where we were crushing people.
Exactly. Now the last 2 minutes. The last 2 minutes to me that goes with the familiarity of your quarterback. If you're your quarterback in the system, because he's really calling the plays for the most part there in the 2-minute drill, and so and so I put some of that on deck too. Like they didn't have that command here at the end of the half, like we've seen before.
Yeah. Hey, well, listen, man, I'll call again before the end of the week and give you my prediction. I just want to shout out to you and Beam, and especially Beam, not that you don't do your job very well, but Chris doesn't get enough love for all the stuff he does. I know he's back there with all the shows and always working. He's got 4 phone calls going on, and you in one ear and us in the other, so appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah.
See you, Nick.
Yeah. Well, if you saw the contract that they have for him, I mean, it's like a multi-year deal, incentives and stuff like that. He's rolling in the money. He's good. Chris is good. I'm kidding. That's an LOL. I just got a straight up LOL. He potted himself up to laugh out loud. I love it. I'm kidding. You're right though, Robbie. You're 100% right. He does all these shows. And the team back there with Josh and Jasmine, they do a great job with all the podcasts. But Chris, yeah, outstanding work, and especially on this show because the phone. I mean, as he's potting himself up, you can hear the phone ringing. As soon as someone hangs up, it's ringing. So appreciate that. Chris is doing a great job. Travis in San Antonio, what's up, man?
Nick, what's going on?
How are you?
I was on hold, but I'm just gonna say I think Chris deserves a raise. I'm just gonna put it out there into the ether.
Okay.
I like this guy.
There you go.
I like this guy.
There you go.
I'm gonna go talk to one of his 4 bosses and see what they think about that.
That's another laugh.
Yeah.
Hey, tell them they can call me. We'll talk.
All right.
I just wanted to, I didn't have much, honestly, Nick. More, I'm an outside the box guy, but I do want to, and I have one thing for you to consider, and I know it's bigger picture, and we're not totally in like going that direction.
Go
but
for
I
it,
just
Travis.
wanted to see what you thought.
You can say whatever.
Well, okay. So the one thing I did want to respond to, I think it was Friday. I think Albert was his name, and it's with all due respect, but I did want to respond at least and kind of say, like, I know he was talking about, we always, Nick always mentioned it. You don't want to tell people how to fan it. I'm not going to tell anybody, like, if you think we still have hope, like, more power to you is what I always say. Cool. I think the season has been over personally, but that doesn't mean that you're not a fan. Like, I think he was saying, like, either support us or leave it. I haven't missed a game this year. I think anybody that's calling it a storyline I think you would agree is a hardcore or a diehard fan.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say that because I don't think you have to pick the team to win 17 games every year to be a diehard fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the marker for it.
Agreed.
Teach it, like I said, like you always say, teach his own. Like, I'm not going to tell anybody, hey, you have to. Everybody has a different point in the season where they go, okay, it's they come to that realization, right? So you let everybody come to that on their own. But my big picture idea for you, because that's what I do, I'm thinking about this season. You know how we've had issues at safety? My thought is it's very rare, but occasionally you have a cornerback, right, that can slide back and play safety. It happened with Charles Woodson, I know he's a Hall of Famer and whatnot, but there are a few other guys that did that. I'm curious, and I don't know if they've ever thought of this, but I'm curious. I'm kind of intrigued by the idea if they do change up the safety room going into next year. If you were to find another cornerback, for instance, if you were able to move Bland back inside and Carson did bounce back next year, I'm kind of curious if you would agree that I think Jordan Lewis, with him being one of the better tacklers on the team, still being able to run and cover, I'm kind of curious if they could use him in a safety role next year, just because, typically when the cornerbacks do slow down a little bit, they can still play back there. And I think with his tackling ability, he hits above his weight, and he still runs really well. I'm just kind of curious and intrigued I wonder if somebody might look at that and go, you know what, I wonder if he could play, safety back there. So I just want to see what you thought about that. Other than that, again, love the show. You guys rock. So have a great week.
Thank you. Well, Travis, Jordan Lewis has played a little safety this year. There was a game. It was at home. I can't remember exactly, but they I'll take it back. It was right before. I think it was Atlanta. The Atlanta game. They moved him a little bit. He was playing some safety out there. So it's not a foreign thing. I mean, for him. So yeah, he could do it. Now you look at him and you say, from a size standpoint, tackling. Yeah, he's a tackler for his size, but usually it's against slot receivers and other receivers. But at safety, your job, sometimes they get to that next level, and you've got to bring down the running backs and take on the lead blockers and things like that. You're right. Safeties are cover guys that are maybe a step slower, but they're also supposed to be really good with awareness, and he's good with it. He's good there. So that it's not just corner that's a little bit, little slower in his running ability. Now it's a guy that understands what the coverage is, understands where to be, how to line people up. He could do all of that. And I think he would. Now his thing, I think he's on another 1-year deal too. I think he's been on like 4 or 5 in a row. So next year's plans for him, it's hard to say, but not a bad thought because, like I said, they've actually done it. Let's go to break here on Cowboys Storyline. We'll be back. We got a lot more calls to take.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
We got big personalities. We got big hair, big belt buckles. We got fans all across this big state and enemies in every other one. We even got a big star on the 50-yard line. Smirnoff knows football is a we thing, an experience that is best enjoyed together. With good drinks and good folks home or away, we rally together. We cry together. And we always rally cry together because, most of all, we got big love for them boys. Smirnoff, we do game days. Please drink responsibly.
Back to Cowboys Storyline.
Stay connected with the Dallas Cowboys on your connected TV. Catch up on all Cowboys content throughout the week. Download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. Back here on the Storyline, 888-855-2297 is our number to call. Sebastian is in Savannah, Georgia, and you're next. What's up, man?
What's going on, sir? How you doing today?
Great. What do you got for us?
Hey, sun's shining, things is beautiful, and it's my daughter's birthday, so happy birthday to little Halo. She turns 2 today.
Awesome.
Terrible tooth are in full effect.
Oh, well, let me just tell you, it goes all the way to like 4 or 5. I don't know who decided to stop it at 2. It's like it's about 2 to 3, 4. But anyways, she sounds like a princess, so I bet you're great. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
I love her to death. Love her to death. My first daughter was such a peach. She was so sweet. I was like, what happened? This is payback?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I'm just calling to say, of course, I want to wish my veterans, my fellow brothers in arms, happy Veterans Day. I couldn't get through that day.
Of course.
So shout out to my brothers and sisters in arms. And then secondly, at this point in the season, we kind of know what this team is. And the crazy part is we don't know what the team is. But, fan how you fan at this point. If you want to get off the train, like Dak said, get off the train. It makes sense. It's okay to be frustrated, irritated, and all that stuff. But, hey, if you're going to cheer for him, cheer for him. And I still cheer for the guys every time they take the field, no matter what the record looks like. And hearing a little thing in the power rankings where they're talking about the teams that made it through for 3 and 6 last year to make it. I don't view us as that type of team. But the question that I had for you is this. Say we slip one more game, if by God forbid we slip another game in a row, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you go to Trey Lance to see what we have? Because I believe he's on his last year of his contract, right?
Yes, he is.
We really need to see what he is. Is he a bargaining chip for a trade? Do we sign him as a backup? We know what Cooper Rush is already. I really want to know what we have in him, what they've been working with him so much this whole time for. And outside of that, Mike got dealt a very hard hand. What I would blame Mr. McCarthy for is some of his game management and some of the ill-preparedness seemingly that his team went through this year. But this is a tough hand to get dealt, and some of this falls on the front office. So I'm wondering if they do extend him for the last year of the contract since your quarterback goes down, or if there are no more excuses. Because I think a lot of what fans feel goes back to the Jason Garrett administration, goes back to the Wade Phillips administration. It goes back to when I became a Cowboys fan in like the earlier 2000s, because I've only been a fan since 2008, so this is all I've really known.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen us go to the playoffs or the NFC Championship game or anything like that. We've been this team that's been a very good team, very talked about team, and then a frustrating playoff team. So I don't know how we go forward and build off of this year, but we got a lot of unanswered questions going into 9 more games that we need to answer those questions in. But you guys have a great day as always. Again, happy birthday to my beautiful daughter, and thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you. All right, Sebastian, appreciate that. It's you could make the argument, that this season isn't going like they thought, but if the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, I mean, if they're going to go off of that and call this season kind of a wash, then they should have given him a contract. You know, there's no salary cap for that. So you could give him a contract if they wanted to. They didn't want to. And so they wanted to see how this one plays out. Well, look how it's playing out. I mean, seems like the writing's on the wall there. I don't know, you know, why, because it's like the benefit of the doubt is going 12-5 3 years in a row. That's the benefit of the doubt. So, you know, that should have been enough to extend there. So I don't see an extension here. I mean, Jerry can do what he wants, but I don't see that because, I mean, they would have done that before. That nothing you've seen this year. And again, it's everything. It's injuries. It's the players not executing. It's the coaching staff as well. I mean, it's the play calling. It's a lot of these things. It really is. So it's not just one thing, but when you're the head coach, it all kind of falls under you. All right, let's go to Anthony in Miami.
Nick the Quick, what's up, my guy?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, riding around, taking care of some things, some errands and stuff like that. How you, Nick?
I'm great. I'm wonderful.
Great.
Outstanding.
That's a good thing. That's out freaking standing. Listen, I'm gonna, as I talk about the games. That's why I call on Thursdays. I give you analysis on the upcoming game and be as positive as I can every week and tell you how we can win the game, not how we can lose the game or gonna lose the game. So I'm gonna put that on the back burner. I'm gonna just say this much. People may think I'm the happiest guy in the world when it comes to the Cowboys. I love the Cowboys. I'm pretty much biased when it comes to the Cowboys, but I'm not unrealistic. I played football in college. I know a lot of people that played ball. We have a lot of problems and issues. Yes, we do. But the talks that I hear sometimes from the fans, and that's who I'm aiming this at. And I'm not telling anybody how to be a fan. Definitely not. But being a fan with some of the fans and getting lumped into that all the time when there's always negativity from outside people, TV show people, this and that, that's not fair to us, man. I've been to a lot of games, too, from Miami, a whole lot. We'll get into that one day. And, there's things we got to work on. You just said it in the thing. This year, after 3, 12-5, this year, injuries set you back, playing a lot of rookies, this and that, coaching staff, a lot of problems there, players. So we don't give up the fandom. Let's still support these Cowboys. Good and bad. We got to weather the storm. The sun can't always shine. So that's what I'm doing. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm doing. Good or bad, happy or sad, I am a Cowboy for life, so I take the good with the bad. Make my analysis as I go, but I'm not jumping off nothing. Now, the Houston Texans, I gave you 2 26-20 scores in a row. If Cooper Rush now, if the line can, they kind of held up last week, but if we can get that passing game on, and I don't know where they were throwing the ball at last week, but and that run, and Rico can run like that again, and that defense shows up like that again, I'm going to take that same score for the third time till I strike out. 26-20, Cowboys over Houston. Real fans, any fan, just be a fan of your team. Don't ever say you're going to jump off this and that. Yep. We're just fans, man. Let Jerry fix this. So I'll talk to you next week, man.
All right, Anthony.
Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you. Thank you for the call. Riding with that 26-20. You know, the thing about Houston, the Cowboys have to keep this thing close throughout, obviously throughout the game. They're not going to be making a furious comeback here, but Houston's played 10 games this year. 8 of them have been one-score games, and 5 of those games have been 3 points or less. So they are playing close games. They're not winning all of them either. I mean, they've had some last-second losses here. They've had some last-second wins. So they are playing a lot of these close games. They're used to it. And that's where, obviously the Cowboys are going to have to keep it close throughout the game. And so that defensive effort was keeping that game close for Philadelphia. I mean, that second down run that the Cowboys, the second down pass, the one that we've seen with the sun and 2 guys running in the exact same spot for the sunlight. And the worst part about that play for me was the actual call to throw it. Because running the ball there, as long as you hang on to the football. But running the ball there forces Philly to call another timeout, and then or they don't, and then the clock runs 40 seconds down even further. So Philadelphia called their last timeout with 30 seconds to go. So if you could have trimmed that down, you're probably talking about, if you run the ball there, even if you don't score, you're probably talking about a 10-6 halftime deficit. Again, I know what happened in the second half, but it's all about keeping it close, giving yourself a chance to win it. You have a good kicker, you can do that. And that's what the Cowboys have to do. And I think Houston's the type of team they can do that against, but they better play with some pride, and they better learn how to play, with a fan. Houston will have some fans. I mean, what else are they going to cheer about? I mean, the 6-4 season, this is a banner year for them. So here they are, and they've never won at AT&T Stadium. So, and they certainly know that. So it'll be a lot of fans here. They'll be trying to come in there, and Cowboys. They've never. The last time they went 0-5 to start at home was 1989 when they lost them all. So let's don't compare that one. All right, let's go to Brian in Ville Platte, Louisiana. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Where's that at?
Near in between. I'd say in between Lafayette, Louisiana, and Alexandria, Louisiana.
The way you pause sounds like it's middle of nowhere. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it is in the middle of nowhere.
That's awesome. Well, fun fact, I was actually born in Louisiana. Most people don't know that. I was born in Shreveport.
Okay, yeah, you're about 3 hours from me. Yeah.
Cool. Well, first-time caller, right, Brian?
No, second time. It's my second time getting in. I've called a couple of times. I couldn't get in, but this is the second time I got in.
I'm gonna give it to you. I don't remember saying Ville Platte, so I like it. What's up, man?
Hey, I just got a question about I know everybody's talking about McCarthy and possibly Dallas moving on from him. And so I just feel like, maybe one of the things that I think that's kind of missing in that spot is having somebody who has a real good way of influencing players to play for each other. Because, you see that in Detroit. You see that maybe for KC. You see it for Mike Tomlin and even Nico Ryan. You was talking about the Texans earlier. I just think that, maybe since Bill and Jimmy, you really didn't have a coach that the players just really wanted to play for. Because, I think even though McCarthy had 3 good seasons, I think players liked Quinn and Al more than they liked him. So, to me, I just think that, who would you think would be that type of coach that would come in that would have a little bit of influence where the guys would just want to die for, want to go to war with?
Again, Brian, I'm not going to talk about specific names. I can tell you that, just because, and I know that you don't call all the time, and I've said this, people that have heard that, it's a respect thing for me. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets replaced in their job. When that happens, when that job is open, then I'll be all about talking about who I think would be good candidates and all that. It's just a respect thing in this building. You don't understand exactly the layout of where we sit, where my office is. Coach McCarthy walks by it every day for his press conference and then walks back. I don't feel comfortable talking about who I think should replace him. I think he needs to focus on, and he is focus on beating Houston this week. That's all he can do is try to go win this game. We see the writing on the wall. I just said it in the last caller. I just said it that they could have given him a contract if they wanted to. So the writing is on the wall on where what the future looks like at this point. The type of coach that I think Jerry has always looked at is having someone with some. You've had to have some success. So first year coaches, he did that with Chan Gailey, and he had a quick hook on that. And he did it with Dave Campo, even though he's been around as an assistant and been around this place. But I think it would be somebody that's had some success, whether you be a lot in college, some in the pro, but mainly some in the NFL. And yeah, but those guys aren't hard to. They're hard to find. They have a lot of success that are available that also demand and command the respect. So not easy to see. If the Cowboys go down that road, man, that'll be a fun show to talk about. I hope you guys understand the sensitivity that it is there, and it's not just this coach. Some of my best friends in the world are coaches. They are living and dying with this every single day, and it's tough. It's a challenge to sit here on this chair and be like, this, get rid of this guy. That's not for me. Y'all can do it. That's fine. I'd rather not.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry about that. I appreciate the call, Brian, and guys. This is where it's tough to toe the line. It really is. I hope you guys understand that I've said it millions of times on this show. Well, not millions, but I've said it a lot. That this is y'all's show. So y'all can talk about certain things, and you can throw different things out. I'd like to see this and that, and I could, cool, noted. And I'm fine doing that. I'm fine letting y'all open up the floor for y'all to do that. As far as some of the topics for me to talk about, it's a little premature for me, but not necessarily for y'all. I hope you understand the respect there. All right, Eric in Klein, Texas.
Hey, Nick.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
All right, I got two things for you.
Okay.
The first, we're playing a little hindsight 2020. I know we were kind of forced into having to sign Dak because it was the right thing to do at the time. But now seeing how it played out and knowing that we'll probably have a new set of coaches in next year, do you think, if you could play it back, that Jerry would have still signed him to that contract, or would he have taken the risk of having an unproven quarterback, even with a top 10 pick, and go through those Quincy Carter years again, maybe? Because there's no guarantees.
You're saying in hindsight, like if he knew Dak was going to get hurt, or
yeah, and and that we were going to have a much higher draft pick. I'm assuming he was expecting us to draft in the late 20s instead of the early, 10s this time. So if he knew that we were going to have a top 10 pick and that Dak was going to be out for half the season, do you think that he still would have said, "This is our guy going forward, and let's build around him with a new coaching staff"? Or do you think he would have said, "Hey, let's take a risk, let him go to free agency, and we'll just hope that we don't end up in quarterback purgatory all over again"?
Yeah, probably that. That's not. I'm not, saying anything that people don't already know. I mean, if a guy's going to surgery, his price tag is not going to be the highest in the history of the NFL. I mean, like, you're not going to do that. You're not going to sign a guy like that. Dak had a lot of leverage. He wouldn't have had it if he was, like I said, going with half a hamstring. Like that's not the case. It worked out well for Dak, the timing of it. And Dak was like, "Hey, I'm not in a hurry. I'll go to free agency, but here's my number. It's 60. If you want to do it now and get it out of the way, people can stop talking about it. Well, start talking about that part of it. They still talk about it, but if you want to talk about it, then let's do it." And that's what Jerry chose to do. But if you're asking me, do I think if someone would have tapped him on the shoulder and said, he's going to have a torn hamstring in halfway through the year and he's going to miss, yeah, you're not going to do that. Nobody would. I mean, you're not going to go buy a house if someone says, "Hey, you know that the foundation's bad and it's going to fall sideways here in about 6 months." You're not going to buy it. So it's the same. It's probably the same.
All right. And then the next one, people have talked about your books, and I read If These Walls Could Talk years ago when it first came out, and there was a story in there that I would love for you to tell on the air if you don't mind.
Okay.
And forgive me if I get it wrong, because, again, it was years ago, but you mentioned Troy Aikman always kind of being quiet while people were placing bets and just always talking trash in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned one day that someone was challenging him with something, and he just stood up and threw a ball across the locker room and put it right in their face.
Yeah.
So if you could tell me about that on air, that would be great.
Yeah.
And one final thing. I don't know what they were talking about before. It sounds like maybe coaches. If it was, just please no Dion. And that's it.
Okay.
Y'all have a great day.
All right. Thank you. So Aikman, Charles Haley's still around here. So it was my first year, it was in 99, and Charles Haley was there. He wasn't playing with the Cowboys that year, but he was there. I can't remember It might have been 2000, 99 or 2000, but he was in the building. I think it was like late in the season, and he was there. And Charles still owns the place. He still runs around this place like he's a player. But he was saying something about how Troy's lost it. He's not because Charles was saying you're not Joe Montana. Joe Montana could do this, or Steve Young could do this. Joe was able to he could throw the ball right between these two guys right here, and so he basically. I have to go back and look at exactly what the story, but he kept kind of riding Troy like, you can't do that, you can't throw it. I mean, he had like two like people like this far apart, just 12 inches apart, and he's like, you can't throw a ball like that. Joe could, but you couldn't. And finally Troy was like, it was one of the hold my beer moments. He was like, all right, Charles, shut the F up. Give me the damn ball. And he throws it and whips it right between these two guys, bangs into the lockers. You could hear it like whipping through, a perfect throw, and everybody was like, oh my God. And then Troy like walks out. It was just like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So it was a funny moment, and Troy was kind of like had enough, and Charles can do that, to people, and he did it his whole career, and still doing it, except not to Tyler Smith. All right, Rick from Massachusetts.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I got a couple of things. One, there's a StoryLiners Twitter space tonight at 9 o'clock. For any StoryLiners who's listening, or Chris or Nick or whatever. Also, the second thing, too, is that back at the beginning of the season or preseason, when you have talking about people who were complaining, whether it was on here or other things, saying that I don't care what you do during the regular season. I want to see them prove it in the playoffs.
Right.
And your thing was, well, they got to get to the regular season first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not going to get to the playoffs, so we didn't have a regular season. So that mutes their point that you got to have a regular season to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, and that's what I don't know if fans have been kind of spoiled, but just kind of just like, all right, well, we'll get back here, 3 years in a row. Call me when the playoffs happen. But that's the thing. They needed you. They needed you then. They needed the players to be focused then. You can't just, this isn't pole vault. You don't just get to the playoffs. You gotta do everything you can to get there. And the Cowboys haven't been able to do that, obviously.
Thanks, Nick. Talk to you
All right,
later.
Rick. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the call. Let's go to break here. Lines are open here. We can come back from break, maybe get a couple more calls in. Lines are open now. We'll be right back here on Cowboy Storyline.
Discover Aiden, the official luggage partner of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. Known for top-tier engineering and craftsmanship, Aiden offers more than just bags. Originating from Australia and designed in New York, it merges fashion, design, and culture. Used by Dallas Cowboys players, staff, and the entire organization, Aiden provides style and functionality for all travelers. Visit AidenTheBrand.com and use code AidenXCowboys for 25% off your purchase. Travel like your favorite stars with Aiden.
Alltech Lansing has been perfecting sound since 1927, bringing you decades of audio excellence to elevate your Dallas Cowboys tailgate ritual. Equip your next pregame with the Sound Rover 180 with 6 hours of playtime, built-in microphone, multicolor light modes, and a rugged exterior that's built to last. Visit alltechlansing.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off your Sound Rover 180. That's ALTECLANSING.com/Cowboys15 for 15% off. Alltech Lansing, official audio partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to Cowboys Storyline.
Friday night at AT&T Stadium, Mike Tyson taking on Jake Paul. It's at AT&T Stadium and on Netflix. Limited tickets available. SeatGeek.com, the official ticketing partner of AT&T Stadium. It's going to be crazy. Mike Tyson at the stadium. I don't know about you guys. I grew up. I loved Mike Tyson. And it's so funny now because when you think about all the stuff that players get criticized for, people in life, you do one thing, you remember it forever. Everyone loved Mike Tyson, and he went to prison. I mean, look at the things that a part of his life. But like that was in the 80s. It was like, man, if he was fighting everyone was into it, and here he is still fighting Jake Paul. That's what a great match that's going to be. Well, I think it is. So get a chance to go if you can. AT&T Stadium there Friday night. All right, Jeremy in Salt Lake City is on the line. Jeremy, what's up?
Hey, Nick, what's going on?
Not much. How are you?
I'm good. Do you get to go to the fight, man?
I am not going to the fight. I think we could if we wanted to, but I know my daughter is playing. She's in the drill team, and they're in the playoffs right here at the Star, right here. So,
gotcha. Yeah,
it's gonna be fun. So
got to kind of show up for that.
High school football playoffs. That'll be quite a fight right there. So.
Yeah, no, that'd be but I'm excited to see Iron Mike. I think we're around the same age, so I get what you're saying, man. People that weren't around don't realize how dominant he was for that, 3 or 4 years in the late 80s. But back to our beloved Cowboys. There's been a lot of talk about out of fan and we should do this and we shouldn't do that and everything. And, a lot of it comes from, first of all, and I'm not trying to start anything here, but, I know you made Rob the captain, but what makes him the captain just because he can call in more? He's a better dialer than everyone else. I don't think anybody's banging down his door to get to ask him personnel questions across the NFL or anything like that.
No, that's
so, you know what I mean? If you want to boycott or whatever he was talking about the other night or the other day, then that's on you. But I don't know. If we're going to have a captain, I want somebody who's ride or die, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, and that's it, man. I'm watching every game. I don't care. You know what I mean? Obviously, I care if they win or lose. Obviously, we all have opinions about, what should and shouldn't be done. But at the same time, remember that all these people are pros. They get paid to do this, and they've been being paid their whole life to do this, and there's been a lot of hate on the coaching staff. I think Mike Zimmer's done one of the best coaching jobs probably of his career this year with all of the problems that, coming into a new team. First of all, you have to establish a new system, right? And then you've got to get everybody to kind of buy in, and you get all these injuries. The last 2 weeks, he's held 2 of the best running backs in the league, to mediocre days, right? And that was the big problem at the first of the year, was getting the run game solved. So I kind of like what Zimmer's been doing. It's just our offense, man, is just not doing any favors. And this is if you remember back in 2015, similar type year with Romo going down, and the whole reason we even drafted Zeke was really to help the defense out. And I think people forget that, that you got to get these guys off the field, man. If they'd have had time, if we'd have just put together a few drives to where we could got them off the field and get them some rest, I think we'd have had a chance. Obviously, we'd have played in the second half like we played in the first half. We could have beat those guys. So that's all I'm saying.
Thanks, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah.
There's a lot to touch there. No, the reason why Rob was the captain of the show is because he did call the most, or one of the most, but also the fans respect him as well. They want to hear his opinion. Fans, nobody on this show the other callers refer to more than him. So, and he challenges. He challenges me, challenges the Cowboys. He says the things that a lot of you guys want to say as well. He's confrontational. It's fine. Him and I don't always see eye to eye, but that's okay. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we see eye to eye, and I don't always agree with it on the air. But anyways, no, that he's the captain of it because he's the voice that a lot of the fans respect and just glad that someone says it. So, does he go over the line? Yeah. The other day, yeah, probably so. He can't really talk about other people's going to games and that kind of stuff, and then that's fine. But I mean, he'll call back but you're the captain because of the respect that the other callers have for him. Real quick, Lester in Minnesota. Lester, what's up?
Hey, Nick, I just got a quick question for you. C.J. Goodwin, cornerback, special teams, right?
Yep.
Why is it that, I mean, I know he's been there at least 5 to 7 years. Why isn't he ready to just come in and play corner when one of our corners get hurt? He's been there a long time. He should be ready by now.
He's really that's not his game. He wouldn't be in the NFL for that. He would not be in the NFL as a corner. He was a wide receiver actually in college, and it's like Indiana University at Pennsylvania or something, or maybe that's not right. But he's in a small college. In I think it was Division II, and he was a receiver. He's an athlete, but he's not a cornerback. They put him on the roster there. That's not his game. They're moving safeties over to play corner before they play him there. He's probably closer to a wide receiver than he would be a corner. That's just the spot they put him at. But he's not. He's a special teams guy, special teams ace. That's what he is. And he's really good at it. He's really good at that. But it's not. This isn't a development thing to try to make him a corner. He's on the roster to play special teams. All right, guys. Appreciate the call. Appreciate all the calls today. Good stuff. We'll be back tomorrow to talk more on Cowboys Storyline. So for Chris Beam, I'm Nick Even. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!